All right, so here it is. So it's a quick one, really, just to document the Atiku Abubakar press conference. So here now is Atiku Abubakar responding now to the Supreme Court verdict. So we'll have a listen and then have a bit of a reaction to it. And then, of course, we'll wait in anticipation for Peter Obi to have his press conference, which will likely mirror whatever it is that Atiku is saying. But here is Atiku Abubakar.
Our leader, the presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, to come and present his data. Thank you, Volker.
Let's join as we make welcome to the podium the people's president to deliver the details of this press conference.
Please be seated. Please be seated. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Ambassador Umar Damagun, the acting chairman of our great party, members of the National Working Committee of our great party, the acting chairman of the BOT and former Senate President, members of the Board of Trustees here present, our most distinguished senators, our former governors, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Someone asked me, what would I do if I lost my election petition appeal at the Supreme Court? In response, I said that as long as Nigeria wins, the struggle would have been worth the while. By that, I meant that the bigger loss would not be mine, but Nigeria's, if the Supreme Court legitimizes illegality, including forgery, identity theft, and perjury, as it has done.
Oh, okay. And we already now know the direction that he is going. So he's not going to say anything unifying or conciliatory. He's going down that route. Illegality, forgery, illegitimacy, and all of that. So that will be the nature of his speech. So now that now tells us what Peter Obi will say as well. But let's continue to listen. But really, from just this opening phase, from just that opening sentence, we already know where this is going. But let's listen on. Let's listen on.
If the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, implies by its judgment that crime is good and should be rewarded, then Nigeria has lost. And the country is doomed irrespective of who occupies the presidential seat. If the Supreme Court decides that the electoral umpire, INEC, can tell the public one thing and then do something else in order to reach a corruptly predetermined outcome, then there is really no hope for the country's democracy and electoral process. Obviously, The consequences of those decisions for the country will not end at the expiration of the current government. They will last for decades. I am absolutely sure that history will vindicate me. We now know what the Supreme Court has decided. At critical points in my political life, I always ignored the easy but ignorable path and choosing the difficult but dignified path, the path of truth, of morality, of democracy, and the rule of law. I always chose freedom over servitude. Whatever the personal discomforts my choice entails. When I joined politics, the critical challenge was easing the military out of power so that civilian democratic governance could be restored in Nigeria. It became very difficult, and as one of the leaders of that struggle, I was targeted for elimination. In one incident, 9 policemen guarding my home in Kaduna were murdered in an attempt to assassinate me. I was also forced into exile for 9 months because of that incident. In addition, my interest in a logistics company that I co-own was confiscated and given to friends of the military government. As vice president in the civilian government that succeeded the military, I, again, at great personal cost, chose to oppose the extension of the tenure of the government beyond the 2 4-year terms enshrined in our constitution. At the current historic moment, the easier option for me would have been to fall off and retreat after the mandate banditry perpetrated by the APC and INEC. But I went to the Nigerian courts to seek redress. I even went to an American court to help with unraveling what our state institutions charged with such responsibilities were unwilling or unable to do, including unraveling the qualifying academic records of the person sworn in as our president, and by implication, hopefully, who he really is. I offered that evidence, procured with the assistance of the American court to our Supreme Court, to help it do justice in this case. I give this background to underscore that what we are currently dealing with is bigger than 1 or 2 presidential elections, and is certainly bigger than Atiku Abubakar. It is not about me. It is about our country, Nigeria, and your future. It is about the kind of society we want to live for the next generation. And what
You know, the lack of self-awareness of people like Atiku Abubakar, the lack of self-awareness of people like this is something that has never failed to befuddle me. Here is a man telling us that he is the champion now, riding to the rescue of the sanctity and piety of the Nigerian entity and its democratic system. So here is the man that is wanting to ensure probity and sanity within the Nigerian space. So the person on your screen is the person making that claim, and he is Atiku Abubakar, the same one that told us that when he was in government with Obasanjo, he rigged Lagos State in favor of Tinubu. He is the one of the Halliburton fame. He is the same one that his immediate boss, Obasanjo, told us that he would rather die than see Atiku Abubakar as president, that is the most corrupt individual. This is Obasanjo telling us that this element, this character on your screen, is the most corrupt person that he has ever come across. And this is the same guy now that has straddled the rostrum to broadcast to the nation that he is the champion of piety, probity, and sanity within the Nigerian judicial and democratic space. And that is the level of irony and arrogance we're dealing with.
What kind of example we want to set for our children and their children? It is about the reputation of Nigeria and Nigerians in the eyes of the world. We showed incontrovertible evidence that Bola Tinubu was not qualified to contest the presidential election because he forged the qualifying academic certificate which he submitted to INEC. In fact, a simple check on Tinubu's past records in his possession would have shown INEC that Tinubu broke the law and should not have been allowed to contest the election in the first place. We showed irrefutable evidence of gross irregularities, violence, and manipulations during the elections. We showed incontrovertible evidence that INEC violated the Electoral Act and deliberately sabotaged its own publicly announced processes and procedures in order to illegally declare Tinubu elected. The position of the Supreme Court, even though final, leaves so much unanswered. Even the rebuke by the time.
All right. Sadly and unfortunately, but not at all surprising, there is absolutely categorically nothing new in what Atiku Abubakar is saying. He's saying he has proven, he has shown incontrovertible proof that Tinubu forged his certificate. We already know that the university told us that he graduated. So that's a non sequitur. That's a total nonsense. And that was, of course, thrown at a court. And he said he has gone to great lengths to unravel the identity of Tinubu, which is a nonsense and was thrown out of court. But he's not told us how he won the election and was cheated out of that. He has reimagined history to tell us then that it was the one that brought us democracy in 1999 and rescued us from Abacha. A total lie, of course. So, as ever, as always with anything at Atiku Abubakar, all bluster, no bang, no substance at all. I thought it would be a bit more dignified, and we did say he was likely to go one or two roads, either to double down on his ignorance and his pain at losing to Tinubu, or to take the dignified route of a statesman. I never really thought that, because he's too embittered and he's too self-absorbed to see beyond himself. And here you hear now a man totally wrapped within his own self.
Justice Musa Datijo Mohammed is a confirmation from within the Apex Court that all is not well with the Supreme Court. The court, and indeed the judiciary, must never lend itself to politicization, as it is currently the norm with nearly every institution in Nigeria. By the way, the strong rebuke of the Apex Court by a revered justice who had meritoriously served for more than 4 decades should not be swept under the carpet. The alarm raised by Justice Mohammed and recently former INEC Chairman Professor Tahiru Jega offer Nigerians an explanation into why the electoral and judicial system have become the lost, not the last, but the lost hope of the common man. Judges are no longer appointed based on merit, but are products of the interplay of politics and nepotism. Worse still, the appointment of.
I cannot escape the lack of a sense of irony coming from this guy. This guy was central and at the very heart of everything that has happened in this particular Fourth Republic. The shaping of this Fourth Republic was actually shaped from 1999 to 2007, and he was co-piloting that space, and he has always been a beneficiary of a system that is rotten, and here he is now telling us that it's the voice of our piety and sanctimoniousness.
Of electoral officials has also been hijacked by the ruling party as seen in the latest nomination of resident electoral commissioners, where card-carrying members of the ruling party and aides to politicians in the APC are being appointed into INEC. When two critical institutions like the court and the electoral commission are trapped in an evil web of political marginalization, it becomes next to impossible for democracy to thrive. As a stakeholder in the presidential election of February 25th, I, along with other well-meaning Nigerians, have done my bit in ensuring that our democratic process enjoys the privilege of full disclosure of the character deficiencies of the current political leadership. I also believe that even if the Supreme Court believes otherwise, the purpose of technology in our electoral system is to enhance transparency and not merely as a viewing center. We have to move with the world and not be stuck in time. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me dwell a bit into the implications of PEPC and Supreme Court judgments. I leave Nigerians and the world to decide what to make of the Supreme Court's unfortunate decision. But here is my take. The judgments of the PEPC and the Supreme Court have far-reaching grave implications, including the following. One,
Oh, all right. Before Atiku tells us the far-reaching grave implications of the Supreme Court and the Appeal Court and whatnot, for telling him that he lost an election that he did, in fact, lose, there's just one thing, and I'm loath to agree with Atiku on anything, but there is just one thing that he said that I have to agree with. Already Tinubu pardoned out the RECs, the resident electoral commissioners, the positions empty, already padding them out with APC functionaries. That tells us that 2027 is anything and everything other than going to be a free or fair election. So it cannot ever be a free or fair election when one of the participants in that election is the person appointing the umpires of that election. So that is a system that is flawed. It self-contradicts. You cannot, to fairness, appoint somebody that is going to adjudicate over what you are contending for. So that's a fundamental flaw within the Nigerian system right there. And it's also going to tell us that, because it's built it up or not because I listened to it, it's also going to tell us that if the judiciary is tied in terms of in terms of failed to the executive, you cannot really get any justice against the executive space. So that those two spaces are spaces that Nigeria has. Those are some of the Achilles heels that has always held that country back. But it's not especially to this particular electoral cycle, but it's a wider Nigerian problem that ultimately has to be addressed. the judiciary has to be as independent as possibly can be, and its funding should be taken away from any executive oversight and placed in an independent sort of escrow or whatever. But yes, the independence of the judiciary can only manifest if it has very, very little ties to the executive. And I think that is the point that the pot-bellied man from Abu Dhabi is about to make.
Is the erosion of trust in the electoral system and our democracy. Nigerians witnessed at the National Assembly change the electoral law to improve transparency in the process. Of particular importance was the introduction of modern technology to help eliminate the recurrent incidents of electoral manipulation, particularly during collation of results. Nigerians in the world also witnessed as the leadership of the INEC, especially its chairman, a National Commissioner for Voter Education, reassured Nigerians on national television multiple times that the use of that technology would be mandatory. Yet, that same INEC undermined the use of that technology during the elections and collation process and declared as winner someone who clearly did not win the presidential election. They then went further to take sides in the courts in a dogfight to defend their illegality. Who would convince the millions of Nigerians to vote in future elections after they suffered endlessly on queues to register to vote, to collect PVCs to vote?
You know, electronic transmission of the elections, they are desirable, but they are not mandatory. So the electronic transmission of the results, they are desirable, but they're not mandatory. Yes, whatever his name is, the INEC chairman Mahmoud Yakubu, he did say in Chatham House that there was going to be that transmission. I can't quite remember the wordings, but he said along the lines that you heard the obedience screaming and squealing and howling all about. So he did say that, but he subsequently withdrew that to say that the option to manually process these things is also something that they're looking to do. But they did not go to that pullback. They just latched onto, so it's just a bit of a nonsense, really. So how come they were able to transmit on that day, but not the president? All of that nonsense. So is that feeble and spurious a reason that Atiku Abubakar is now presenting to you and telling you that Tinubu does not have a certificate, even though the institution that gave him the certificate told us that he has one? So that is the totality of everything that you're listening to now. So it's just it's a nonsense, but let's hear from Solly before we carry on. Solly, good to see you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. That the people in the comment section, I greet you. The people in the comment section that have not liked, I greet you. The people in the comment section that have not donated, I see you and I greet you also.
Look at this guy. You can only say that from a position of strength. Have you done it in order to ask other people to do it?
They are viewing now. I'm the one producing a service. I'm the one entertaining them. I'm the one giving them, so the dues have to come from the people receiving.
All right. So the person entertaining us at the moment, Atiku Abubakar, how much have you listened and what have you made of it so far?
Man, I don't understand this cognitive dissonance. So this guy is a crook. I'm not saying is the only crook, but like the way it comes about, he acts like he's speaking to illiterates. And to be honest, most of his audience are illiterates anyways. He speaks like all this.
Sorry, is it not an arrogance? If you look at Alexander Gomez's comment in the comment section right there, good day to you, Alexander. It says he's rebuking the decision. What a sense of entitlement. I just don't like these uppity Fulani folks with their condescending stance. And that essentially is what we're saying, isn't it? Is that Fulani sense of entitlement because they are fed fat of the land for so long, that now says that they own the country forever.
I can give another example. I can give another example. You know, when a rich man builds a company out of nothing, right? And he then has children. But usually, one of the child, usually the eldest child, usually feels like they know everything about business just because their father became rich. Meanwhile, that child doesn't know anything. He just has the privilege of being a rich man's son. That is Atiku's case. Atiku didn't work hard. He didn't know anything. He didn't know how to do election. He just found himself there as vice president because of the situation of the country. So in his mind, he feels he knows how to become a president because he has become vice president before through no work, just an entitled space, through luck. You know, I would say 99% share luck and knowing the right people and being at the right place at the right time, but no strategy at all. It feels, you know, Nigeria is a company, if we're being honest. You cannot run it with sentiment. How you cannot run a company is how you cannot run Nigeria. And how you run a company is how you run Nigeria to be successful. You know, this man cannot run any single company on his own if he were to start from scratch. So he doesn't have the strategy to become any elected leader anywhere because he doesn't have the strategy at hand too. It was given to him. But because he was there, he feels like he knows everything. He's just, but the one thing I like about him is the way he's approaching it. He's not going with a headless mob. He's not threatening violence. He's not sneak dissing. You know, he's not what we know about the Fulanis. He's not going about it in that way. He's going about it in a proper way, non-violent way, doing speeches. You know, I like that. That's one thing I like about him. You know, unlike the other person who doesn't want to control his crowd, who lets them insult everybody, who lets them attack everybody, who lets them curse everybody, blackmail everybody, do everything. You know, if you are running a company, when you are running it like that, you are not running a company, you are running a mafia. Because that's how mafias run companies.
Oh,
So
oh,
we
oh,
can
oh, oh,
just let Atiku be, let him continue to do everything, but in reality, all those things will not work. Sentiment does not work when it comes to governance. Nobody is going to recognize, and when it comes to governance, the most important thing is international bodies recognizing you. International bodies are not going to recognize this kind of countenance. It's the kind of person that they can easily use coup to remove. So they are not going to recognize him. The other person too is too aggressive. He doesn't hold back his people. You know, international organizations are not going to recognize it because everybody is coming to do business. If you cannot give them a business approach, they will not recognize you.
all right, sorry. We'll listen to him to bring it to an end in a moment. But we're expecting Peter Obi to very quickly make his own broadcast just after Atiku Abubakar because that is what he traditionally does. But do you expect him to deviate to deviate any in any way from what Atiku is saying? Because traditionally, we've seen that any direction that article goes, Peter Obi often very quickly follows. So, are we expecting Obi to broadcast very shortly, as latest by tomorrow midday? And are we also expecting to also identicate, as they will say in Germany, the sort of speech we're hearing from Atiku now? Is it another copy and paste from Peter Obi by tomorrow?
As usual, it will be a copy and paste. Peter Obi is that kind of person that you give him your homework to copy. You will see the wrongs that you are doing in your own work. You will correct it in his own book, but he won't tell you that you are wrong. So that's what I've seen from Peter Obi's strategy, and that's why he's always waiting for Atiku to do his own. He doesn't know what to do. His own is just copy and paste. He will remove all the wrong things that Atiku, all the mistakes that Atiku made. Then you submit a correct, or in his own mind, a correct application to his people. Whatever they will feed into it, is what you take. I don't know why he's still keeping this crowd. This is the perfect time to lose the crowd. Maybe he's trying to come in 2027, which I'm almost 150% sure you will not get as many votes as before, because people were really put off by the violent manner and the violent speeches and the insults. So I don't know what he wants. What is his gameplay? He doesn't have people that can advise him properly, especially from when he chose that guy as his vice president. That's how I knew that this guy doesn't have people that will give him proper advice. He doesn't have his strategy. He doesn't have the intelligence to uphold this position that he has put himself in. If not for the tribal following, I don't think anybody will follow this guy. So it's just an annoyance. And the annoying part about it is a violent and insulting annoyance. That's just the annoying part of it. It's good that there's a third competition, but this competition, I don't like the competition. It's not a good strategist. It's very sad, and I've been saying this even before the election and really started. It's very sad that in a country of Nigeria with 200 million people, Tinubu is the smartest political candidate for Nigeria. That shows I'm not saying Tinubu is not smart, but when it comes to intelligence, he's not up there. He's
No,
just
no, it's just really the we'll listen to article, bring it to a close, and then we'll have conversations around it. But in this electoral cycle, it's an unfortunate situation of a very, very bad field, and then you had to pick the one that you could the least palatable of a very
exactly.
bad bunch. So
Exactly.
Tinubu is not really a choice, but when you place him alongside Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, then what
He's the
options are
best.
you giving the people other than to pick him? But Tinubu is never really a choice. But then what's the option? Atiku or Obi? So really, it just automatically defaults to him. Not
Yes.
it's a negative choice, isn't it? Because of the poorness of the field. Obi
Is the
that can
only choice.
barely comprehend when he's being interviewed. Never his answers never correlate with the question, and you are saying that this person, so he wasn't an option. And Atiku that is rotten to the bone, a very tribe, and people wanted to move away from that Fulani stock as well. So where do they go? So it wasn't so much any great love for Tinubu, but look at the field. Peter Obi that can barely pull his trousers up by himself, or Atiku, a corrupt Fulani person. So he just defaulted to Tinubu, and that is to tell you just the field was so poor.
Exactly. In summary, it's just very sad. 200 million people. You see them online complaining, talking about this stuff. Then why don't you contest? This Nigerian, this is not, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. But these people, they want to sit down in their house and wait for somebody to magically solve their problem. This is why churches are making so much money from Nigeria. Woman, did you see the church they were about to build? That is like a stadium.
All
A
right.
stadium
Before
with
before
road.
we go on to that, let's listen to the other half of article, and then we'll close him off, and then we'll just have a final conversation. So let's listen to what the Adama, the Waziri of Abu Dhabi, has to say.
Based on INEC assurances only to see their vote stolen and given to someone they did not vote for. When people lose trust and confidence in elections, democracy is practically on life support. And by affirming and legitimizing the continued lack of transparency in our electoral system, the courts are continuing to usurp the rights of voters to elect their leaders. The other grave implication is that contestants in Nigeria's election should do whatever is necessary to be declared winner. That includes identity theft, impersonation, forging of educational and other documents, perjury, and violence. And as they do so, they should ignore whatever the law says and whatever assurances from the leadership of the electoral umpire about what the law says and what they would do in compliance. And they would do so knowing that our courts would approve of their behavior or at best pretend not to take notice of it. The third is that if you are robbed of victory, do not bother going to cause for redress, because your glaring evidence of the robbery will be ignored in favor of the mandate bandit. Yes, because we have seen it. Also, your lawyers, however distinguished and accomplished, may be ridiculed by the judges, who may also go out of their way to make even a stronger case for the so-called winner than even their own lawyers were able to do. We have seen it. These are clearly self-help strategies and actions bereft of the law and constitutionalism. Only lawlessness and anarchy will result from such, with violence, destruction, and implosion and loss of our country likely to follow. I believe that we still have a small window to prevent this from happening. We can rescue this country from the strange impostors that have seized it illegally and are holding it by the jugular. Let me caution that the leaders of those African countries that have completely collapsed into chaos never came together one day and agreed to collapse their countries. Rather, their countries collapsed because of the incremental and compounded individual and collective utterances and actions of those leaders. Nigerians know more about the person sitting in office as their president and how he got there, and the dangers that it portends for them and the country today and in the future.
That's a dog whistle to anarchy right there. And those are dangerous commentaries. But I suspect that we'll hear even more of it from Peter Obi. But let's listen on.
It is for them, especially the younger generations, whose future are to be shaped by that man, to decide what they want to do with that knowledge.
And there it is right there. So that is a call to the streets. That is a call to young people to take this to the streets. So that is what Atiku Abubakar just said right there. He has invited the young Nigerians to take to the streets and burn the country. So that's what he just said. I'm going to scroll it back for a minute so you can hear him. That is exactly what he just said. He has invited young people to take to the streets and burn the country down. That is where the line got crossed.
In office as their president and how he got there, and the dangers that it portends for them and the country today and in the future. It is for them, especially the younger generations, whose future are to be shaped by that man, to decide what they want to do with that knowledge. Now, let me give a historical perspective to the constitutional evolution that gave birth to the 1999 Constitution. In the build-up to the current democratic dispensation, agitation was rife amongst members of the political class. And a large
all right, I'm going to skip it for a moment because we're watching it somewhat delayed. So I think we've heard the substance of what he has to say. So let's just take it a little bit further because we don't want any history lessons from especially this sort of a character.
for me and my party, this phase of work is done. However, I'm not going to go away. These two recommendations from what eventually became the body of legislation to govern our fledgling democracy. As for me and my party, this phase of work is done.
Oh, okay. So there right there is the white flag, and that is Daddy, I surrender. So whatever it is that he has said previously, you can say put that as sour grapes from a sore loser. So that was sour grapes from a sore loser. But those last five seven words that he just uttered right now, that's the white flag. Daddy, I surrender. So, Daddy, I surrender.
As for me and my party, this phase of work is done. However, I'm not going to go away. If you think I'm going to go away, forget about it.
I was a little bit disappointed with how he said that actually. I was expecting him to say it. I was quite actually hopeful that he would say that in an Al Capone voice. Forget about it. Not forget about it. Forget about it. You know, that sort of Italian gangster sort of a thing.
Thank you. Thank you. For thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. For as long as I breathe, I will continue to struggle with other Nigerians to deepen our democracy and rule of law. I will continue to work for the kind of
All right. So what I'm listening to, and what I'm listening for, is to hear if it's a retirement speech as well. So he would not really say that I'm not going to participate, but within his wordings, we want to be able to pick up or not if he's still intending to be an active participant in frontline politics, or to be a backseat driver as an elder statesman. So that's what I am trying to pick up from now this phase of his speech.
political and economic restructuring that the country needs to reach its true potential. That struggle should now be led by the younger generation of Nigerians who have even more at stake than my own generation.
And there it is right there. So that was Atiku retiring from active politics right there.
So, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me make a few proposals that I believe will help. Listen carefully. We can urgently make constitutional amendments, and I'm happy members of the National Assembly are here, that will prevent
Okay, so when
any court or
okay, so we're not especially interested in any recommendations that Atiku has to make. So let's keep it forward a bit more, and then we will start to run. And there's one more clip that I want to play you before we start to go into commentaries and conversation.
structural empire and made public for the benefit remains the best political party in this country, the voters, to who it truly belongs. Gentlemen of the press, Your Excellencies, distinguished senators and members of House of Representatives, particularly members of the National Working Committee, I want to thank you for holding the fort so far as the party is concerned. I know there have been so many concerns and worries about the direction, the strength of the party. I want to assure that the party remains the strongest, remains formidable, remains the best political party in this country. In life, we sometimes face challenges and disappointments, but that should not deter us from pursuing the overall objective of our great.
Oh, okay, so there's nothing meaningful or substantial that so nothing left meaningful or substantial to hear from him in that phase. But let's go back in time. Let's go into a time portal and go back in time 4 years, back 4 years approximately, and hear from Atiku Abubakar still. So there again, his speech under the same set of circumstances 4 years ago.
Gather to hear from the party's presidential candidate. As he mounts the podium, he starts by describing what a true democratic process entails.
Democracy is a government of the people and by the people. Only when the people's choice prevails. That did not happen on Saturday, February 23, 2019.
Citing irregularities which he said bedeviled the electoral process, he goes on to reject the results of the election as released by INEC and speaks on the way forward.
In Akwa Ibom, for instance, the results showed a statistical impossibility of a 62% drop in voter numbers from the 2015 elections, even where voter registration and PVC collection rates were much higher than in 2015. This pattern was repeated in strongholds of the People's Democratic Party, including in states like Delta, Rivers, Abia, and Benue states. As this was occurring, we saw another statistical impossibility, wherein voter turnout and numbers increased astronomically in Borno State by an almost miraculous 82% in the midst of insecurity. My dear Nigerians, it is for this reason that I, Atiku Abubakar, reject the results declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission.
So that was Atiku Abubakar. That was 2019. The same story, the same outcome. So let's start to gather thought. Let's hear from Femi, who has not spoken to us yet. So that was Atiku's speech. Pretty much as you'd expect. You expected a bit more dignity from him, but then of course maybe that is expecting too much. But what we did here was that the fight stops now with the Supreme Court. He said that, and he said that that he was still going to be within the Nigerian political space, that is not going away, but that the future belongs to the younger generation, which is to tell you that he's not active in politics anymore. Femi, let's hear from you. All right, if Femi is not there, anybody that wants to comment to Atiku, let's hear from you.
Okay, yes, I'm here. Hello.
Okay. Yeah, carry on. Let's hear from you.
Okay. Yeah, I expected more like this, but I thought he will put it in a different frame, in a different way, like telling after Supreme Court affirming Tinubu as winner of the election, and you calling that election illegal. You don't have to use that kind of words. I don't expect it from him, but that sounds like a loser when a loser is talking. And about telling us that the youth, this now he left the podium for the youth, he left the stage for the youth. I look at him that at 70s, how old is he now? I think he's 77 or
No,
78.
I think it's 70, yeah, 77, 78.
Yeah. Now you are telling us you are leaving the podium for the youth. At what age? I believe by 2027 he will come back. He will still come back. But what I just noticed about this man is that I'm very sorry for him, because when I look at him from 2003 to 2023, that is 20 years trying to become a president, and now you have not become a president. You are now blaming a friend of yours, Tinubu, that is a forgery, perjury, theft, identity theft. When I look at this man, and this same man is Sadiq, not Atiku. Nigeria is a laughing stock. And I remember what you said when you are streaming, that Tinubu is not the best for the country, but among the 3 top candidates, Tinubu is better than the rest too. And I agree with you on that. I agree totally with you. But let us forgive Atiku is someone that he has his own opinion about what happened to him.
Hold on, Femi. Al, stay muted for a moment because your background is coming. When when Femi finishes, then you come after him. Femi, carry on.
No problem, my brother.
Okay. In my conclusion about I expect him to say all this, but what I notice is that he's not ready to leave the PDP because of Wike and his friends. He will stay in PDP because of Wike. That Wike cannot be a candidate with PDP. He will not allow that. He will never. And I believe that Wike still have the goal, still hope to contest in the future to become a president of Nigeria. Because right now Wike is 59 years old. Next 16 years, Wike cannot contest any longer. I believe by next 4 years, he will contest under PDP. The man is not ready to leave PDP. And what is happening, I should not bring that into what is happening in Rivers State today also. I believe Atiku has done his best. He should leave the rest for we youth, because we are coming back to the country to contest. If he's not a president, we contest from local government chairman or rep in future. Thank you, Mr. Woma. I really appreciate for this opportunity.
All right, thank you, Femi. Good to hear from you. Let's hear from Al. So, Al, this is more or less game over speech by Atiku Abubakar. But what did you make of it? Good to see you, Al.
Yeah, good to see you, everyone, family. Yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for our Uncle Lay, because the thing is, you know what? Let me tell you one thing. You see, Atiku and our elder Obasanjo, these two pillars of Nigeria have failed, the political, structure. Because really, truly, a man like Atiku, Obasanjo, they shouldn't be really contesting for politics. They should be the godfather, guiding the younger generation coming through, and be a statesman. That's what he should do. But the more he is trying to contest, the more he's going to look more vulnerable. I mean, Femi that just spoke, he's right. Wike is one of the reasons why Atiku will not leave PDP. But unfortunately, I could bet my life on Wike, on anything. Wike will never see power in Nigeria. In fact, the last election that gone past, the reason why Atiku got so many votes up in the north is because of the G5. Yeah, because they did not like what Wike was doing, and if there is going to be a problem of Tinubu regime, will be Wike, in what he's doing in Abuja, right? But goes back to Atiku. Atiku, I feel sorry for him because the thing is, he always placed himself as a northern candidate of the south, right? But he's on the wrong path for the south. It should have been, if Atiku was aligned with the southwestern governors by now and the northern governors, by now Atiku would have been president of Nigeria a long time ago. But Atiku is actually, surrounding himself with the known enemies of the north, yeah, in the southeast and the south, and thinking these people are going to give him the platform and the vote instead of his own constituent is a bad calculation on his side. You know what I mean, though? It's a bad calculation. There's no way Southeasterners will give a Northerner the vote. They will not do it again. So he actually went and aligned himself with the Southeast instead of the Southwest and the North. And now he's crying foul. He lost the election. He lost it. He totally lost it. Even his own people, my people in the North, didn't vote for Atiku. So how is he going to be? The next president of Nigeria? It's a bit embarrassing, man. Now he's fighting his brother. Atiku that brought Tinubu. He brought so many politicians, Obi, and so many other politicians in politics. Yeah, he should have been relaxing like what Buhari is doing today, man. It's been embarrassing watching him talk like this. Our elders don't behave like this.
Al, do you anticipate that he's still going to come back in 2027, despite whatever it is that he said? Do you think he's a serial contender that he will always, whatever happens, he will still, because it doesn't strike me as he doesn't have anything else to do in life other than to contest to be Nigerian president?
One man, Jagaba and Buhari will block him again. Yeah, the Supreme Court was there. Remember the last thing what Buhari did before he left power? He brought the man back. It's like, yeah, that is your place. The Supreme Court is yours. Nobody is occupying it. Because I remember people were trying to get someone else to come in there. Buhari said, no, you are. He used tactics to get rid of Atiku. He don't want Atiku to rule Nigeria. He don't want it. The North, majority of the North don't want him. So how is he going to vote? How is he going to win? The people that he aligned himself in the Southeast are traitors. They don't want a Northerner to rule Nigeria or Fulani man. So as I said to you, he's not gonna come. If he come back, he's gonna lose again. I swear he will lose. So he should save himself and our people respect. He should do what Obasanjo done. Just go away. Tinubu that's in power today, it's Atiku that brought him in line. Yeah. Support the guy, be a father state man, yeah, and stop playing this kind of childish game, man. It's a bit embarrassing, to be honest, It's embarrassing.
All right, thank you, Al. Stay with us.
Yeah.
Solly, so pretty much as you expected from Atiku Abubakar, not really that much of a deviation from what everybody expected him to say. He still went on because he spent a lot of money going to Chicago, so you still expected that he will have some sort of a final say on that. And then, but there was somewhat of a dog whistle to the young people to rile against the system, which the authorities should look at. But really, the summary of everything that it did say, it was pretty much consistent with expectation, or was it, Solly?
He's riling up the people to come and fight for him. His son is in Dubai. You can check his son, even though that one, his account is private on Instagram. But I follow him. That guy is in Dubai, riding Rolls Royce, using it to impress some Arabs that think he's a monkey. Why can't he call his son to come to Nigeria to bring up the youth, all his children, call all of them to Nigeria and let us go and fight the government. Then I'll take him seriously. He's looking for poor people's children to use as scapegoats to get his agenda so that he can steal more money for his great grandchildren, because the money he has stolen is not enough. And all these things he's complaining about, was he not vice president before? Why didn't he change it? All of a sudden, when his crooked ways did not favor him, he suddenly realized that things are crooked. No. You reap what you sow. He enjoyed the crooked Nigeria before. Now he cannot handle it anymore. Nobody should cry for him. Nobody should help him. It's the media that is still giving him attention, I blame. You know, this guy is not serious. He thinks Nigerians are still illiterate. He thinks majority of Nigerians are still dumb. He's still carrying the mentality that he had when he was vice president and bringing it forth in 2023. It's not his fault.
All right, brilliant. All right, so Al, how soon are we expecting Peter Obi's broadcast? This is to Al. How soon are we expecting Peter Obi's broadcast? Are we expecting Peter Obi to have his broadcast later on today, but certainly by midday tomorrow? And do you, Al, expect Peter Obi to say anything differently from what we've heard from his leader and mentor, the Waziri of Abu Dhabi? Al, I think you're back. Are you back, Al? Al, you're there twice. Okay, are you there, Al? Al, okay, you take that question then, Solly.
Sorry, what was the question?
No, I was asking that how quickly are we now anticipating Peter Obi to have his because I would not be surprised if in the course of today he has his broadcast, but I would be surprised if by this time tomorrow he doesn't have his broadcast. But although they say he's out of the country, but he should be back. So how soon are you expecting Peter Obi to have his broadcast? Is it going to be along the same line as his daddy Atiku Abubakar? So Atiku has now closed his own chapter now, and we're now waiting for Peter Obi to close his. But how soon is your anticipation?
I cannot judge, because one thing I've realized also is that not majority, but sometimes when he does all these declaration and speeches, and I'm referring to Peter Obi, is usually set up by his followers. You know, they push him, they be like, Atiku has spoken, this judgment, they set everything up and they put him in that position to say something, you know. So I believe mentally Obi is out of this. It's just his followers. If his followers set up a speech or set up a space for him to make his declaration, he will do it. When are they going to do it? I don't know. I'm sure they're already gathering, looking for where he is, trying to track him down so that he can make his speech on their behalf. So it depends on how fast they can find him, how fast they can make him give a speech. I don't know when he's going to do that. You know, his supporters don't want to quit. They don't know when to stop because they don't know anything. So it's just how fast they. Maybe he's even running away from them. That's
No,
why he's out of the country.
it shouldn't be out of the country now, actually. So I think Al is back. So
Yeah.
yeah, we were asking how quickly are you expecting Peter Obi to make his speech, and are you expecting him to be are you expecting his speech to be any different or significantly different from Atiku, or do you expect him to say pretty much what Atiku said and then wave the white flag as well?
One man, I believe Peter Obi is behind all this palaver, but I reckon he's the one that pushing Atiku to go to court and do all this stuff. But then I might be wrong, because Atiku done the same thing to Buhari. You just shown the video. When Buhari won the election, he took Buhari to court and he said Buhari cheated. Yeah, and that's how he upset the North. You know, and all of a sudden, look at what happened. So I think Obi is wasting his time, man. I'm obedient. I still support the guy. I still love, you know, his political stance. But you need to calm down, otherwise you lose my support. Because you don't want anarchy in the country. You can't You can't push the younger generation to go and take their own life for you. You know, that's not good. That's not politics. You know?
All right, Al. So, Al, we are going to be having a bigger session round about 10 o'clock UK time, 10 p.m.
Okay.
UK time later tonight.
Yeah.
Join us
Okay.
because there's
Yeah.
still a lot to talk about in this particular on this particular article speech. But
Yes.
just a final closing remark from you, final closing remark from Sodi, and then we shut it down. So, parting words from you, Al.
First of all, ignore Atiku. You know, that man. You know, this Atiku Obasanjo. I think they've been their final statement. They should go and relax and keep their respect and look at the people that they put in politics and see what kind of work they can achieve for the country, because they haven't done. They haven't achieved that much for the country in the past. If you're a footballer, you become a footballer, you never win a cup. You manage to train some players that you think might do it. Just relax and let these players see how your players can actually perform. If Jagaba win today, who's gonna win? It's gonna be the entire Nigeria, man. They need to be more patriotic, and Atiku, stop taking your people to court. He lost Buhari, now he's gonna lose Tinubu. These are the two main people that he's actually more close to. And Obasanjo, he lost Obasanjo as well. So what is he gonna do? How is he gonna win anything in Nigeria when he lost his people? You're not gonna get nowhere, because they still got strong base in the country. So the Southeast is not gonna support him. He should know where he stands when it comes to the Southeast. So he's gonna obsess his own constituent, and then how is he gonna get any support? So I think he's fighting a losing battle, as you can tell anyway. So that's my take on it.
All right, brilliant. Thank you, Al.
Yeah, I'll join you tonight. Yeah, and also let's do a show about the boxing match, man. The Ngannou and Fury, man. That would be nice. You and Kai.
No. I thought yet again, Fury lost and he got a decision. Just like Usnik or whatever it is, he lost to that British boy in Poland because that guy knocked him down, and he was out. There's a lot of cheating at the top end of boxing. That's just it.
Yes, we need to take boxing back. We need to take our boxing back.
What's happening to AJ? That's the thing as well. He has lost his mojo.
Yes, I think they need to stop sucking up to these people that actually know nothing about boxing, and come back like what Ngannou did. He come to his own people for support. But AJ, I used to be a fan of AJ, but he sound like he's a sellout. Him and Adesanya, they're not representing us very well in the West. I'm telling you now. Ngannou is the man.
You think AJ is too British? Is that what it is?
It's too British, man. Look at what Ngannou did. He stand up for Cameroon. Look at it. That could have been Nigerian flag flying all over the world by now. When AJ was out there. A strong Yoruba man coming here fighting for British, bro. That's not good.
Yeah, but you have to go with the money now. You know how it is. You have to go with the money.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. I can't decide. I can't disagree with that one,
Yeah.
man.
You want him to be hustling. You want him to be hustling for naira at 1,000 to $1.
No, but
when he can get pounds.
That's true. No, that's true. One man, I join you later, brother. I take care.
All right, cheers.
All right,
cheers, bro. So Solly, you're up next. Parting words, Solly.
All I see Atiku doing is fighting for his money that he spent on election. I recall when someone said that the money that he spent during Buhari's periods, they paid him back. That was a mistake, because he has become entitled. Whatever you give Atiku, he feels like he's entitled to it forever. He's just trying to fight for his money that he spent on election. That is just it. And this time, nobody is giving him a dime. All he's doing is making Nigerians look bad abroad. He's not doing anybody any favor, and he will never do any Nigerian any favor. That's just what I see from it. That's my summary.
All right, brilliant. So thank you, Solly. So Solly, of course, join us later in the evening, 10 p.m. UK time, where we have a longer period of time to really dissect it. So thank you, Solly. Thank you, Solly, and thank you to everyone that is listening. Just as I said to Solly, to all of you, Join us later in the evening, round about 10 p.m. UK time. I'm going to put the thumbnail out fairly shortly. So make sure you are all booked and locked in because we're going to really dissect what Atiku Abubakar just said and what it means for the Nigerian space. I see it as somewhat of a retirement speech, and I don't have any anticipation of seeing Atiku Abubakar in active politics in Nigeria ever again. We see him still pulling the strings as a puppet master or a statesman. I don't see him as a statesman, actually. I see him as a puppet master because there's too much deviousness in him for anything good to come out. There's too much. He is self-absorbed in his own self-worth for him to be of any intrinsic or wider good. But we'll go through all of that with Atiku Abubakar. So that was Atiku Abubakar's speech, where in anticipation of a Peter Obi speech, almost certainly by this time tomorrow, but is it going to be identical to what Atiku Abubakar just said? So all of that, the super chatter of the day, Alexander Gomez, always Alexander Gomez. Maybe by this evening session, we'll start to mention other names as super chatting other than Alexander Gomez and Ayo. But there it is. All of that, we reconvene for the evening. We wrap it up here. Carry on the conversation in the comment section. This sits on the platform as a video, so you can watch it back. You can add comments to it on the platform. But here I say, peace.